welcome back. We are gonna make a tomahawk today with a crispy garlic, chili, lemon, and herb gremolata. So I'm gonna show you how to do that now. Let's prep the marinade. All right, so we have the steak. Pretty nice. Not bad. This was 29 bucks. The restaurant is gonna cost you about 150 or more, depending on where the beef is from. This is Black Angus. The marinade that we made, or the gremolata, as we would call it. We're gonna take some of this and blend it up. So you want to take, like, I would say about a quarter of what you have. And we're gonna give this a good buzz in the immersion blender. So just about that much. You can see from our original here. It's not that much. I'll weigh this out and I'll put it in the description. But we have a nice paste here. It's pretty much what we want. And first, crack salt and pepper. I use margarita salt because the flake on it is really nice and it will not make this too salty. Salt this up right here. You can go heavy on that because it's a big piece of meat. Salt it up pretty well. Then I want to take it pretty heavy. Pat that on. Roll it down. Get every inch of this. Now it's salted real well. Even the bone. Get the bone, get everything. All right, I'm gonna put this all over the steak. Now it's cold, so this should stick pretty well to this. I'm gonna rub this around. This will be really nice on the grill. Hey everybody, so now we are ready to put this on the grill. So this sat overnight and all that goodness, and I'll check out what we did to it. So wrapped the bone, of course, because that can get a little dark throughout the cooking. And I scored the top side where the decal is. Put a little more salt and pepper on that. So the fat renders out and we'll get a nice crust on this baby. So let's get it on the grill. We're gonna get this on the grill at about, say about 250 for the first hour. And then I'm going to jack it up to about 500 or so, as high as it'll go. And then we're gonna sear it. But we're gonna sear it from the top rack, not from the bottom, because I don't want the garlic and herbs to burn. So I'm gonna try to fit it on here, standing up. If not, just flat. Let's see how this goes. Alright. Gotta need like a production crew to do all this, so I don't have to do this. Oh, it's gonna fit. Oh, it fit. Alright. So there we go. That's gonna stay on there for about an hour, like I said, and then we're gonna sear it from the top rack. When we sear it, we'll turn it and everything. Right now, for the first bit, I want everything to crust up on this, and this dry heat will do exactly that. A little smoke flavor too, which would be nice. And I think Baker's over there making the sides. I believe that we are having a like mushrooms and green beans with Havarti. But let me go check. Oh, one more thing. When you have one of these grills, there's a little lever here that will close it. So now that I've got it closed, the smoke will still come up, but any little bit of that oil that's in the Gremolata, you don't want it to drip directly onto the flame, because you could end up with a disaster, a lot of flare up. So let's go check out what Baker is making. What are you making over here? What are you making over here? What?
Brown rice pilaf.
Brown rice
Butter
pilaf.
rice, yep.
Yeah, put a little chicken in there, chicken base or something like that, garlic.
Yep. Chicken base, garlic, some thyme, and some butter.
Oh, sounds pretty good. All right, what do you got over here?
And we have some mushrooms with marsala wine and garlic and string beans. And then I'm gonna shave some Havarti on top and put some crispy onions.
Sounds pretty good, actually. I am looking forward. So we will see you in an hour. Okay, so it's been about an hour, and we're gonna check this out right now. All right, let's see here. Alrighty. Oh, look at that. So all of our spices and garlic and herbs and all that have been crusted on there. The oil has dripped off, so now we've gotten a good crust. Bone is still nice and protected. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull this off. We're going to crank this up to about 500. And the reason why I'm pulling it off and not just turning it up is because when the auger dumps pellets in there, you don't really want that first burn off to be on your meat, on your stuff. When you're really cranking it up, it's different when it's feeding it as it's smoking, but you don't want, when you're really cranking it up, to leave it on there, in my opinion at least. So I'm going to take this off, and then we're going to crank it up. Okay, so we are rocking here above 500. I'm gonna get this guy back on very quickly. I'm gonna do this rather fast. I'm gonna go on the top rack. I would say about 7 minutes aside, maybe a little less. We are gonna lay it down this time. So you'll see here. I'm gonna lay it down this time. About 5 or 7 minutes per side, because we have been on there for an hour. So we are on the top rack, and the reason for that is because I want everything to caramelize without burning. So we're going to open the flame now, and we're going to let this caramelize beautifully. You can see here, it's already starting to bubble. The fat's starting to drip out. Just want to be a little careful. You want to keep an eye on this. Don't just walk away from it, because that fat could drip down, and you could have a lot of flare up, which is not what you want to do. Doesn't taste great either. And we'll see when it's done. Okay, so it has been about 5 minutes. I'm gonna check this out. Alright, so a little bit of flare up, and that's to be expected. So on the flip, I'm gonna close this. And let's flip this man. Okay, so I managed to get it flipped. doing this and trying to flip it is not the easiest thing to do. So we got to flip now. So got a nice caramelization on this. We are going to let those flames kind of die down a bit before we open up the flame broiler lever. And see you in 5 minutes. Okay, so 5 minutes later, 5 minutes on each side so far. Got pretty good caramelization right now. So it's coming up pretty good. Not bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it one more time, but onto the decal part where the fat is, and let that get really, really crispy. So let's give me a moment here. Just crisp up that fat right there. So I can get some lines on it. You know, we don't necessarily need uber grill lines on this. It's going to have a ton of flavor for just what's going on right here. Grill lines look nice, but they're not really necessary for flavor. Some people might argue that, but they just look nice. Doesn't mean that the meat's bad because it doesn't have cross hatches on it. Okay, so we've taken the tomahawk off the grill and we've put a little more of the Gremolata over it. We put it on a resting rack, and let me show you what it looks like. So we put on a resting rack, put a little bit of foil underneath. You can use a sheet tray if you want. You can use whatever you want. I'm gonna cut it on this board, so it's not really gonna matter if the board gets a little dirty. But there it is. And we are gonna let it rest for about 10 minutes at a minimum. And we'll take off that little piece of bone. This will actually come in handy when you are slicing it. That will be really, really helpful. So there it is, a little more Gremolata on top, nicely charred but not burnt. Again, there's a big difference between charred and burnt. This is beautifully caramelized or caramelized, however you want to say it. I will see you in 10 minutes, and we'll come back and we'll cut right into this.
Hey guys, so we are back. It's a little late, but we are finally eating dinner. So we did tomahawk steak, and I made some yummy buttery rice pilaf with a kind of reinvented string bean casserole with some mushrooms, marsala wine, garlic, and Havarti cheese, and some of those yummy crispy onions.
Yes.
So we're gonna finally dig in.
It's beautiful. This little fat. Let's see how this is. That's really good. I'm sure if the beef was even higher quality, it'd be even better. But I like the Gremolata on here a lot. I normally like, this would be, most people would say, oh, just do salt and pepper. As a chef, you get tired of salt and pepper, okay? You get tired of it. So, I like to do something different. Now this would be technically, you know, an Italian steak. Now the Italians would probably be like, oh, too much up there. This is good. What do you think?
So, steak is really tender. Really good beefy flavor. Not super fatty. It's actually pretty lean for a ribeye.
It is actually, yeah.
And really good quality. So we got this tomahawk at Sam's Club actually. And 2 people, even 3 maybe, could easily eat off of it, depending upon how big of an eater you are.
Yeah.
But it's still worth it.
Yeah, this is definitely worth it. I mean, like I said before in the video, $29 this was. This steak. I don't know if you could see. One more. Beautifully cooked. There's a lot of meat here. Now, even for me, like I could probably chow this down. It would take me a minute though, and I would probably regret it after, just like fall right asleep. Yeah, I would say two people comfortably can eat off of this, no problem. And this steak in a restaurant would easily be $150 or more, depending on where you were at. You know, in Arizona, probably around $150, $125 on the low end, but Vegas, anywhere else, like close to $200. If not more, depending on the quality of the beef. And this is just Black Angus. I'm sure if we had gotten something that was a little higher than that, like Wagyu or Kobe, be a little different. You know, be a little higher in price. That in a restaurant would be like close to $300.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is really, really good. Even the fat is good on it. When I was a kid, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure you were the same way. I didn't like fat at all.
No.
I would cut all the fat off. I would not want to eat it.
And honestly, it's not even flavor at that point for me. It's just the mouthfeel. I don't like the gelatinousness of it. Like if it's fried chicken, if it's something that's crispy, that's different. But if it's something that's like grilled or roasted, I'm not really a big fan of a heavy fat on my meat.
Now in this case, I had scored a lot of the fat on the outside, so it rendered out. It got really crispy, and that's why it's enjoyable. In other cultures, gelatinous fat, they love it. Not so much in America. Some people might, but it's not a big, very popularized thing just to eat fat without some sort of meat on it. Yeah, green bean casserole is pretty good actually.
Thank you.
It's like a revamp, so it's not overcooked green beans and
Yeah, there's no cream sauce, which so it's kind of low calorie too, in that regard.
slightly.
The only really fat is the cheese, but so yeah, so just sauteed mushrooms, green beans, garlic, marsala, and then just grated Havarti on top. I like Havarti because it's really creamy and it melts really nicely. And then some of those crispy, yummy onions that we all usually love.
The lemon worked really well with the beef. I think a lot of people don't do this as much. I know sometimes you don't like the citrus as much, but in this sense, with all the fatty richness of this, the lemon works very well. And you don't really see that a lot, lemon and beef together. It's not really a common thing, but it works with this. It really
Yes, no, I agree. I do really like, even though the beef is like, because beef has a heavy flavor. It's not like poultry, right?
No.
So to have lemon with it, the lemon does come through, which is nice.
It's not overpowering though. Not like can't taste the beef or like the char on the beef.
Right.
This is really juicy. I would really like to take this bone and put it back on the grill. Char it up some more, like a lot. And put some more of the Gremolata on it. Yeah. That's just that. I mean, the dogs.
When he wants to eat the bone of something, it usually means it's really, really good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you people out there are bone eaters or people who like to munch on the bone. If you don't know what the hell you're missing. You really don't, because that's where all the flavor is. It's like a second meal. Like you get the beef rib, sort of, in a steak.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like 2 in 1 with the steak. I mean, that's how I look at it.
You're not wrong.
That's how I do it.
But yeah, guys, I mean, like and subscribe if you really like the recipe. We'll post it down below. And we hope to see you soon.